Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mitten Backstage. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to be chatting with my good friend, Daviance Washington. Now, it goes without saying that Daviance has got one of the deepest pockets as a drummer in West Michigan. You can hear him playing with different gospel groups, funk groups, blues groups. He's been on the road with Harper and the Midwest Kind. He has so many different projects that he's involved in, including GrooveGround music. And it was fun to catch up with him because he recently had a new baby. So he's been very busy with his new kid. If you like today's conversation and you want to support podcasting efforts like these, you can head on over to patreon.com/Dr. Snedeker. There you can donate at different tiers to get exclusive merch, early episodes of the audio and video versions of each podcast that I produce, and more. You can also head over to DrSnedeker.com to see what I'm up to all around the internet. Thanks again, and if you dig the episode, feel free to share it with someone who you think would enjoy these types of conversations, and give any of the profiles you might follow subscribe, a follow, all those good things to show that you dig what I'm producing. All right, let's get right into today's episode with Daviance Washington.
I had 2 gigs where I brought it to, and I was just like, "It's still not working. It's still not working." So the frustration of doing that back and forth, it's something.
Yeah, that's I it's been a minute since I've had to do that in terms of like sending gear back because something's weird. I did spend most of Monday, like I took off all the keys on my keyboard and just like did a deeper clean than I've done. And yeah, it's so far, I mean, I'm using it on the gig tonight, so I'll see how it holds up in a live setting, but as far as I can feel from playing it, like it's closer to being normal again than having a bunch of like sticky keys and
Right.
weird stuff.
Cleaning that, I was talking to someone about cleaning my stands and polishing my stands. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that one.
Yeah.
I want some stands.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's just some, there at some point it's like it's hardware, like it's gonna get dinged up and beaten up. Like the only time it's pristine, I think, is like if you were to like go to a company and they like stage a kit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, all brand new hardware.
Probably ain't getting that one though.
Yeah.
That's all right. But it's been nice. I got these new ultralight DW stands, so I can literally carry all my hardware in this book bag, and it's like a book bag. It is a book bag, so just throws over my shoulder. I'm out of here. It's
Yeah,
very nice.
That's like I'm now that I'm having to like load in and out of cars again. I'm starting to think like, okay, what did I do to like make things super easy? And that's gonna be part of today. Is I have that I have like an old suitcase that I bought when Earth Radio played in Indiana. We stopped at a thrift store and there was just a bunch of like old suitcases for sale, and I know Hannah picked up one for, I think, some of her cables and like smaller accessories, and then I picked up one that I could literally like fit all of, cables, any plugs, extra things, just all in that suitcase. And
yeah, man, that's
super easy.
I like about this Groove Gear.
Which Groove Gear thing? Oh, wow.
Stadium bag. I had to. It was like the SPD pad XLRs. Oh, that's falling out. I'll fix that. But
wow.
Put all of that in. It's called that Groove Gear Stadium bag. touring and you get the back straps and you can clamp your in and ears. It's
Oh yeah.
it's the diggity, bro. And my stick bag, my SPD go in there. So it's literally like deep.
Yeah.
Like look, that probably shouldn't look good while I'm putting it on camera. Just a mess right now, but
No, I keep seeing I keep trying to remember, like, does Groove Gear have cowbell?
it comes out of my back.
Yeah.
Pull a rabbit out of your hat. It's cowbell.
Yeah. Well, I keep trying to, like, keeping an eye out on keyboard gear. Just I need to look and see if Groove Gear's got even just like an accessory bag, like condense stuff even further to
Dude, yes,
load in.
they definitely do. They have this new drum set cases where you just slide it all on one, like, what do you call dolly, and it just slides in, it just clamps, and it's just one push. I was like, you guys are making bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Wow.
yeah, Drew got some stuff for you, bro. I know how you gig, and you got your pedals and stuff.
Yep.
Groove Gear is the way. Groove Gear is the way. I recommend that to anyone that's already listened to this podcast. Groove Gear for stadium and moving along, gigging, accessory bags, and it protects. And it's very sturdy.
Yeah, any shot I've seen of any Groove Gear things, or even just the brief moments I was at their booth at NAMM last year, I was just like, man, these guys, like, it's like they understand musicians need a million pockets for like a bunch of. It's like they know that every musician's gonna have, like, like an instrument, cables, probably a laptop,
Right.
storage drive. Like, everyone's carrying their office with them and their instrument. So
That bag is pretty much that because I can get my SPD, my laptop, and some sticks in there. And they got side pockets too, and it comes with built shelves. Yeah, but I gotta go to NAMM.
it's fun. It's a little. It was a mix of, like, it's fun, but it's also a lot happening, and you just have to make peace with the fact that you can't see everything, and you'll see some of it online like you normally would.
I'm not gonna accept that. I need to see it all and everyone. But that's okay.
Yeah, well, and I guess for me, like, when I went, I had to split booth duties with Tom over at the Cusack music booth. So there are times where I'd just be posted up in the same spot for 3 hours, and I would see some people walking by, or, like, random people would come up to the booth, like the JHS pedals company dude, the founder, like, came over and checked out some things, and other random industry, like, oh, he works with this dealer, or he works with this company, and just people trying out stuff. But being on the floor was, it was like you're trying to keep an eye out for, like, okay, this guy's playing here at 7, but Ghost Note's playing at 7:30, and it's on the other end of the convention hall, and then it's like you're trying to catch all, and then the whole time you're walking, you're like, that's Corey Henry and there's Thundercat with his artist rep, and there's just all 5 gospel drummers all shedding, and someone's coming over to shut it down because it's too loud.
That's funny. That is really funny seeing those little clips on Instagram. Like this booth is shut down for noise. The noise is just too loud. I was like, wow, that's neat. I like that, but I don't.
Yeah, it's inconsistent too, because it's like at where the Nord booth was last year, they had a very faint, like, signal that the audience could hear. Everything, all the performers seemed to have in-ears, because they all brought, if they didn't just play their instruments, it was like they brought a laptop with tracks. And they were, like, not that far away from DJ land, where it's just a bunch of, like, DJ setups and PAs, and, like, beats just blaring over PA speakers. and like none of them were getting shut down during people's performances. But then like the Tonewood booth got shut down, and Tonewood's just like a device you stick on acoustic guitars, and it's like an acoustic, like they'll shut down that, but they won't shut down a DJ booth. They'll shut down, gospel drummer. Okay, that makes a little more sense, but then they won't shut down, like 5 dads at the bass booth all slapping.
That's overslapping on face. That's super, super funny. Oh man, that's weird. That's super weird.
Yeah, it's and then there's like, the other layer of just like the things you're not looking for. Like randomly being with Caleb at the Audio Technica booth. I think he was looking to shop or like test out one of their mics or something, and I just hear like, behind me from where I'm standing, someone's just like, man, I really wish someone could help me with this purchase. And I turn, and it's like some lady was saying it, but like nearby in the group of people she was with, Hannibal Buress was there. And Hannah was just like, I would love to buy this turntable, but unfortunately I don't see anyone. And I like turned to the like one of the booth reps. I'm like, hey, that's Hannibal Buress. And she's like, who? And I'm like, international comedian. He's got podcasts. He needs audio equipment. Go look at him. And then
no.
I'm like, how do you not?
Oh no.
Like even just a little bit aware, Broad City, like, I don't know, a show he's been on, or I guess if you haven't watched any of his stand-up or the Eric Andre show or Broad City or, anything else he's been in.
That's funny, Dutcher. That's insane. But those things happen though.
Yep.
And people don't even realize like this person's this person.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Well, and it was funny too, seeing the people who kind of became celebrities, like there was that dude, I think he was at like a college basketball or football game, and he was like playing a kit, and he was kind of going crazy, and
oh yeah,
I think Jeremy Flood made a video of
right.
him.
The noise of I do.
Yeah, like doing all that.
Like my favorite Jerome. It's my favorite one by him. And that's funny because I see that guy with the afro.
Yep.
The afro guy, and I see him often in like those random pop-ups. But when you guys were at NAMM, I also seen him in another person's Instagram story.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I was like, I think they were checking out Calvin Rogers.
Yeah.
I think that's where I seen it. Someone was posting Calvin Rogers, and it was that guy, and there was another one. But then there was another one. He was all around the Nord Circle. He was at the Nord station as well. I seen that. Someone posted. I can't remember who, but yeah, I do see that guy often on other people's stories. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, like just a totally, a moment he probably just thought was like, oh, that was funny. They caught it on camera. And then now he's like using it to like give himself a career bump almost.
Sure, take it, man. Take it and run.
Yeah. He was like, I just remember like seeing him, and he was just he was talking with someone who like had recognized him from the video, and I'm like, I wonder how much of his weekend was just like, you're that guy from the video, or
a lot of pictures, probably a lot of pictures. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of pictures, a lot of.
Did they get you guys confused?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, overall, it was a good time. Logistically, it was tricky to kind of coordinate 12 people that all kind of were in the same Airbnb, but it worked out as in terms of like getting to do a bunch of stuff. I still, I saw certain people play. I had that random dream symbol party thing with Scott.
That's cool.
Which that was interesting because like we knew Scott was playing this party, and then at the time like Elle was just like, hey, or like we all pull up and Elle just kind of looks at me and Kevin, and she's like, hey, you're gonna play with Scott in like 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, we'll do something. And then Kevin was having issues. I think his Ovation guitar needed like a 9-volt, and
Okay.
he didn't have any around, so he ended up not playing. So just me and Scott for however long we played.
Nah, that's cool. That's
And
really good.
it was like following like whichever dude is like, I guess, credited with Gospel Chops or something, like as a brand.
Right.
There's like, it was following that drummer that like all these gospel drummers are just like, it's that guy. And I'm like, I don't know who it is, but
That's that guy.
seems to know what he's doing.
Or something. Is it the guy from Shed Tracks? Or
Yeah, it was something like, because when we got there, there was a younger gospel drummer just playing to tracks, and we could like hear him from the parking lot.
dang.
Just the
Did you see any concerts at now?
yeah, I saw. I'm trying to think who I saw. I know I saw Animals as Leaders. They played the outdoor Yamaha stage the first night, which I was like, this is crazy. Like this band's like, you'd think is such a niche, you know, like a technical progressive metal with like fusion of like jazz and classical stuff.
Yeah.
They were playing that main stage, because that same stage was where like, you know, Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire, like that's where all those dudes were performing. So I saw them. I saw a little bit of Earth, Wind and Fire. I think like the back half of the concert, and Tower of Power, Ghost Note, which they played like, they started. I mean, they only had like probably 40 minutes, but they started their set with like 3 new songs. I was just like, and I saw them, and I'm trying to think who else was like, because we didn't see any shows like in the city. We almost went to the Mint. I think is what the venue was called, and that was, I think it was like a Dami and JD Beck thing, but I don't remember. I did see Dami and JD Beck play at the Nord booth, and a little bit of Jesus Molina and J3PO. And yeah, I think those are the only like concert sets. I mean, I know I saw like, you know, bits and pieces of like the Calandra Jones, Doug Wimbush, Marcus Machado trio, and you know, Joey DeFrancesco playing at one of the organ company booths, and I ran into Jim Alfredson and Cliff. They were doing a round robin at the Hammond booth with all these organ players.
Yeah, I got it. That's awesome. Oh,
yeah, there's just so many, especially because like, and you know, if obviously if you're like your you know, tunnel vision is like, I like these kinds of styles of music, it's really easy to like pick out where you're going to see stuff. But when you're, you know, you listen to a lot of stuff, you see what's happening on YouTube, or you see which companies are coming up, and then you start to see these weird intersections of like, oh, that's the Music Is Win guy with the Samurai guitarist guy and Jared Dines, and they're all at the Abasi Guitars booth with the dude who who made Periphery, and like, oh, they're across from this other company that makes these kind of pedals, and they're working together, like, or you know, like you're walking past a booth on the way. Like I was going to see, I saw a little bit of Yvette Young, this guitar player. She was at the Seymour Duncan booth, and on the way to see her, I heard Aaron, the bassist, Like he was just at one of the, I think the Mark Bass booth or maybe not Mark Bass, some bass company, bass amp company. But I was like, there's that kid, the 8-year-old producer.
Insane. You listen to some of his stuff?
Yeah, like just crazy.
Oh, God. Like, why are you doing this to my career?
Yeah. Well, and then like supposedly his dad or brother or whoever that is that like is sometimes in videos with them. Like he's a killer musician too. So it's like,
His brother.
oh, that makes a little more sense how Aaron's able to like get access to certain things or be able to learn certain things.
I noticed that Sput posted a video of Aaron's brother. I can't think of his name. That was just like, yeah, this guy is one of my top favorite 5 drummers, and it was Aaron's big brother. I was like, this makes sense. It's starting to make sense now. It's just like, I didn't even know who his brother is, but I don't know who his brother is, but I'm just like, this is insane how dope this dude is, and he's 8 years old. I'm like, and then the music he's producing right now, it slaps. It slaps so hard, bro. I was just like, oh. I don't know.
It's like you see that, and you know, because I thought about the post I made in my story. It was I think Lionel Lueke shared it. You know, kids in this African village all playing, you know, different polyrhythm things and just, you know, stuff that comes naturally to learning percussion there. And it's like people don't realize like it's like, yeah, Tommy did his first violin recital. Look at this village in who you don't even know where, Africa, and they're killing it. So who cares about Tommy? It's like he's not like these people grew up in a culture that like really appreciates it. Like you're just hoping he gets a higher math score in high school.
I'm passing, bro. We're passing. He's got to pass.
Yeah, he's got to get at least passing, Tommy.
Oh man, so funny. Oh, Instagram.
Yeah. How was the
Yeah.
You guys played Coyote Crossing?
Yes, GrooveGround played Coyote Crossings in Cadillac, Michigan, and that was great. We opened up for Zach Bonson in the 1,000 Watts Profits.
1,000 Watts.
1,000 Watts Profits. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was like a rock band or
soul. It's like soul rock.
Oh, okay.
They're really good. They're really, really good. So I've been sitting in for those guys. I did a Friday, and GrooveGround did the Saturday with those guys. So
nice.
Yeah, it was just like a little weekend thing for me. But GrooveGround played Saturday at Coyotes Crossings, and we opened up as hard as we can, and they enjoyed it. In my experience, I think they did. So, I mean, it was great. I mean, I'm excited for the other shows we have coming up. I know we have a July 9th gig that's just been released with the Muskegon homies, Flex a Decibel, and who's all on that? Earth Radio's on that. Mellophobics.
Oh, what's that?
That's the
the Berlin Sprig.
Berlin Foot something. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to like in my head think because we had recently someone accidentally like before confirming that we could do it or not, which we ended up not being able to do it. Like this other event announced us on the bill, and we were like, no, we're not playing that.
No. There's been a lot of that this year for me. Double book.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. But are you guys? So you guys are not doing it?
Well, we're doing the July 9th. It was a July 3rd event that it would have been cool, but I have a rare like invitation to a wedding. I'm not working a wedding, so I was like, this will be a fun break from doing like I think most of the gigs I have this summer are weddings.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I'll make some good money and there's like there's enough Earth Radio stuff that'll be good to like work on, and like, you know, we have a small handful of shows each month. But yeah, it's like really it's trying to switch back that booking gear in my brain to like start planning out for further into the fall, you know, looking at next year, just hitting up all these places that were already set for this year with reschedules and being like, hey, are you booking next year?
Oh man, yeah, right. Getting on it now.
Yeah, which I don't know, because like one part of me thinks like all these venues that rescheduled, now they're ahead when usually
Hey,
they're kind of behind. Like, oh, we're booked, like, you know, February, you hit them up, you're like, oh, we got 2 slots and someone backed out, like this is our last minute, we're trying to have it finished by March, or, you know, whatever they want to do. And now it's like all these local series
right,
that have like their whole lineups were done as soon as they did the reschedule, so it's been like over a year.
right.
It's like, did they do any preliminary booking? Did they wait like everyone else? Seems like most people have been just waiting and watching, but yeah.
I'm getting better at the booking thing. I just whatever comes to the table, we're gonna eat. We're gonna grab it. We're gonna eat it. But I'm learning a lot about this booking and the timing of it, and
Mm-hmm.
how to be ready for it when it's time, or you just stay ready. You don't have to be ready, but just getting those things together in order.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I, you know, next year, I want next year to kind of be like what 2019 was for Earth Radio, where
Right.
we like were really hitting the ground running, and we hit a lot of good markers in that year, and you know, we played out a lot, but it was like in a way that there was at least an attempt to like, okay, we're not just only playing Muskegon or Grand Rapids, like we're going north, or we're going to Chicago, or we're going to Ohio, you know, just trying to link up with different bands. I mean, we were trying to book, I remember one of the gigs that like someone still tried to hold on to last year, that we, you know, we had already made up our mind that we were backing out anyway, and the gig ended up getting canceled. It was with a band in Indiana, and like just randomly approached by the band, but then turns out like 3 of the band members worked for Sweetwater. So
Wow.
we were like, oh, we could do like a lunch concert and then do the show with that band the next day, and then maybe do a tour like somewhere in that weekend, and just kind of, you know, get, I don't know, try and get some kind of connection there. That's
Right.
not just your sales rep.
Sales rep comes through though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then you want not your sales rep. Let me tell you, I talk to my sales rep, Jason, a lot. It's kind of weird, but he knows what I need, and sometimes he just calls like, "Hey, we got this stuff in stock." And I'm like, "Yeah, just send it." You know, I just want to be like a Amazon subscription. Just send it. At this
Yeah.
point. You know
Just
what I mean?
charge the card, send it over.
You know, my sticks, my card is on file, so just go ahead and run it. But I like that he does call first before he does it.
Right.
So he doesn't decline.
Yeah.
But Sweetwater's been saving my life through this pandemic too. But
Yeah, wasn't it like, I remember at least Madison talking about like it was hard to get certain equipment, like that drummers regular, like drum heads or sticks or
oh
something.
man, everything was on back order. Everything was on back order. Um, I was trying to plan for it, so I was kind of getting my stuff on time at least. But I don't know, it was just working out for me. But I got a foot pedal that I got purchased in April, actually, April 1st on my birthday, and it's still not here. It's still not here. Dutcher, it was supposed to be here Monday. Dutcher, my foot pedal was supposed to be here Monday.
It's
But
been
we're not paid
months.
for it. It's been months. been months. So now I'm starting to feel what Madison's feeling. Starting
Yeah.
to
It's like, I
feel
can't get the gear.
my gear. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and it's weird too, like, because I feel like more companies now are like making comparable stuff,
Right.
and not every local store, like even if you were go to like RIT or something and like, put the order in, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to get there faster.
Right.
And it's like sometimes I see this all the time as a keyboard player. Like, not a lot of people carry certain brands for like demoing. It's like Guitar Center is probably the most comprehensive, but it's only certain Guitar Centers, because they don't like, some of those Guitar Centers don't even put out like, like a Nord, or like they just put out like, oh, here's the Yamaha, the Korg, the Roland, and then they put like the small synths and
Mhm.
sequencers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I
Um,
oh,
and then yeah, for you, it's like for you guys, there might be a drum room at at a spot to try out some equipment, but
yeah.
most times you're just like kind of, hoping you can get it pretty quick, try it on some stuff, and then send it back before you're like, yeah, before it's like a final purchase or something, and you have to try and just sell it.
That's why I just stick to Sweetwater, bro, and Ritz. I do stick to Ritz and Sweetwater. Shout out to Ritz because every time I go in there, they have it.
That's good.
And if they don't have it, I find something I like better. So that's been really cool. He's a big help over there. Um, I don't go to the place on 28th Street anymore. I'm not gonna say the name. But
Nobody knows what that spot is.
I don't know. That's fine. It's perfect. Um,
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I mean, you mentioned you have other gigs coming up.
yeah,
And you're doing, are you, because like GrooveGround, I guess everyone's still like, Adam hasn't moved yet. Like, everyone's still in GR.
one's still in GR.
So
Um,
it's probably
uh,
like easy to coordinate
uh,
rehearsals and
right. That's why I haven't been to a rig beering because we all my rehearsals happen on Thursday.
oh, yep.
So I'm like, man. And then when I don't have Goo Ground, I have to schedule another rehearsal. So like today, Asama's playing at Allegan tomorrow, and I have to have a rehearsal for that tonight because my civic show that was supposed to happen on Monday rained and we got pushed to Tuesday. And so I was like, okay. So yeah, everyone's in Grand Rapids, and so it works out really, really well. And we just keep it consistent on Thursday, so we can just be polished. And so because we're a new band and
Right.
we're writing, so consistency is the best thing for right now for us. While we becoming something new, or I guess, or branding ourselves as a new band. So yeah, it's fun. It's really fun seeing everyone's thought process during the pandemic and how to write with each other and get to know each other. Well, everyone knows each other, but we just haven't like played in a band with each other, in the project.
Right.
So it's easy. It goes. It works out well. But yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
It's the beginning. So hopefully this July 9th is gonna give a really great introduction of GrooveGround. And so yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, I mean, I feel like that's like the two, I feel like the two modes right now that most people I've talked to are in, regarding any music work. It's like you have the Eli's of the world who've been like maniacally hustling since January to like basically have 3 to 4 gigs almost every week for months. And you're like, how'd you get that? And it's like, oh, he's, it's like him solo or after hours, or like this is a date with Earth Radio, or like he's
Right.
doing, some other thing. And then there are people like who they know that because they've that they're taking it not necessarily taking it easy, but they're not like every day like freaking out about like, oh, I gotta get stuff booked to get certain things done, but they're still working on
Right.
like, we're gonna keep doing these certain things, and then next year's gonna be more open, so
Right.
we'll be even more prepared to like come out swinging. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just chill for a second and write, find a direction where we still want to be, all the feels, that can mean anything. Country and funk, I don't know, but
yeah,
it can happen. But just chill out for a little bit and write and get to know each other more. So yeah, it's been cool.
I imagine grilling on Pete's deck.
Yeah. When we had that meeting that day, yeah. We come to rehearsal, we just pop open the wine bottle and just get at it.
Just
Well,
go right for it.
go right for it. Let's get through it.
Yeah, what Earth Radio's been, we've been we had a meeting recently of just like some things that we could iron out to make the
Right.
the process of everything a little bit smoother. And one thing I'm looking forward to like establishing that is like a good mix of like, we like to we like to get through the things we need to get through for rehearsals,
Right.
but we also like hanging out. And so we're kind of trying to take that approach of like, kind of like when you're in like music school, and you have an hour between classes and you're shedding for some gig with your friends, and it's like, all right, we only have an hour, so we have to hit certain things within this hour. And then that makes, instead of like, oh, it took 20 minutes to get through 3 songs, it's in that 20 minutes we worked on you
Right.
know these songs and talked about transitions or whatever,
Right.
and ran some transitional stuff.
Right.
But then that hit that first hour hard, and then the next hour or 2 hours, however long we're still being there, that gives us oh, we could take a break for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then like, oh, it's we're doing a late rehearsal, so we did an hour, let's do another chunk of time and then just relax to wind down the night. Like, to get the work out of the way is just making everything
Right.
easier to to deal with.
Absolutely. You're just not putting so much on your plate at that moment, Take those moments and write them down and jot it out and get it through. Um,
Hmm.
wow. I love their radio group. Everyone in that group is just so killer.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Congratulations to Justin. He's got that Emmy award with
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's real dope.
Yeah, I've met Sheridan at Sheridan Tongue. I met him at some, one of those, he was a panelist on one of the B-side sessions. And I've expressed wanting to work with him, not just cuz he's winning Emmys, but cuz he's doing the sync licensing thing, and he's putting out, a pretty steady library of like documentary series soundtracks. Um but he plays keys. So I'm like, all right, uh, what, what other instrument or sound or thing like do you need that I could do? Like, that's kind of
Right.
what I'm trying to figure out, like what he might need.
Yeah.
Um,
Were you
because
were you on
yeah,
that project as well?
no, you know, I knew about the session. I wasn't there when it was being tracked, but I knew that it was happening. Just because that wasn't the first time like Mark or Justin or Scott had been hired, or Kevin. Because I don't know where Sheridan's house is, but it's in Grand Haven somewhere, so it's not that crazy for him to like come to Third Coast. do the live tracking and then have people over at his studio space for like overdubs or like
Right.
mixing or whatever.
That's dope. I don't know who this person is, but I'll have to definitely look into him.
Yeah, he's like, as far as I know, he's a Welsh dude that met. I forget how he met his wife. His wife originally from Grand Haven. He moved here with her, and he still keeps a studio. Like he's got the studio here, and then he's got a studio, like a bigger facility in London that he has a manager that he coordinates with. And I don't know if it's back to kind of the normal routine he was doing, but he was saying like I think he takes like a week or a week and a half and he goes out to London each month to like be more hands-on and coordinate certain things for when he's not in London.
Right.
But yeah, I can't imagine like running two studios worth of work for like Nat Geo projects and like BBC stuff. Like he's just he's like he's the example of like, you do the work, you know the right people, and it doesn't really matter like where you're based as long as you're communicative and like can show up and do the work. Because he's
Yeah.
even expressed his like at first it was like a little surprised. He was a little surprised by like, working with area musicians and being like, yeah, a lot of you Michigan artists like don't even realize like how skilled you are, like when he's worked with people in all these major music cities.
Right.
And he's like giving West Michigan props for like having solid players. Like it's like good, the word's getting out,
We are here.
we're here doing things.
We're doing some stuff.
Yeah, we're not just landlocked. Like I'm sorry we're not Detroit, but like just
right.
do something.
Right. Oh man. I feel like people like so overlook Grand Rapids, but that's definitely going to change. That's definitely to change.
Yeah, with all the new development and all the
we're killing. We are
yeah
right now. And it's just getting bigger. I feel like every time I drive down the road now, someone's got a new rooftop party or new rooftop is doing something with their rooftop. The Holiday right by my house, they're doing a new rooftop. I've never known that place to have a rooftop. That could be a live music thing.
Yeah,
it's developing so fast, and GR is going to take off, especially with the musicians that we have and the artists and the painters and.
Yeah, well, and I see people like people who have relocated to this area just because of either the pandemic or whether it was like a strategic move or if it was like, oh, we were planning. Like I had a friend who was planning on moving back to Michigan for a little bit after a certain amount of time at her job doing sound, and because of the pandemic, speeding up that process, she's been back here the last year. And but she's just like, I've been trying to get her plugged in, like anyone who needs sound, because like she worked for I think Schubert Systems, and they get hired for like like she did the was it like the Roots not picnic, but they're like a Roots birthday bash or something, like some
that's cool.
Like Roots and Friends party at the Whiskey Go Go. She's been contracted out for Bonnaroo. She's like she's just used to like here's your team, do good work. And then I think she mainly was focusing on monitors, but awesome. Yeah, it's like there's just people back in the state that are like, hey, you're killer, go do the thing with these people.
Yeah. Oh man, I got a buddy named Matt Dubs, and he works with what's the sound group?
Live Space or On Stage or
Live Space.
Okay.
I thought those the guys that did the lawn.
Yes.
Okay, Live Space. He works with those cats, and he was just telling me he was doing stage monitoring for Electric Force when T-Pain was on stage.
Whoa.
I was like, didn't know that. I noticed that when I seen his Snapchat, and then when I see him randomly, but he also does the Jazz Fest too. So when that Jazz Fest was happening, so I was like, that's really cool, man. You got
Yeah.
plugs right there, some really good plugs happening. But
Yeah.
crazy, crazy.
Yeah. Just the like the, the people you just meet that are like 1 degree from like the goal you're trying to get to, and you're like, I'm so close.
So close. Not have to work there to get closer.
Yeah.
20-minute row. I was working at 20-minute row just so I could learn production, and I met what's the homie name from August Burns Red. Uh,
Oh yeah.
he met him, did a free lesson with him in the garage while he was like unpacking. I was like, that's really, really cool, man. Thanks for taking your time out and showing me something.
Yeah.
Yeah. One step closer. Just one step closer.
Just so
We're so
close.
close. We're so close, Dutch. So close. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, and I definitely felt it, with Earth Radio shows last week.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, we're back," but it definitely feels like there's like a second wind for like all these people who,
Mm-hmm.
might have been keeping up not just with us but with live music in the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone's ready to just like go see things and go do things, and um it's a weird feeling, like the demand for music has increased again, but the the ability to have everything scheduled is shifted.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like everyone's still having like, oh, we have a few things in the summer, and then we're, just going to keep pushing further out like normal, but yeah, it's like support live music this summer, and then also next summer, and then forever. Just do
Right.
that.
Keep doing it. We need you. We need.
Yeah.
Oh man. So how was that experience playing on the lawn?
Oh,
That was you guys' first time, right?
yeah, first time on the lawn. Yeah, it was great. Live Space did a good job
Right.
setting things up. Um,
Okay.
it was very easy to like, keep certain things staged with the lineup,
Right.
and um people, it was interesting because it was kind of like how Meyer Gardens, like when you like most people are seated, and sometimes if you're like standing up, people, the some people get upset. That didn't really happen at the listening room, but it was the same vibe of like, oh, a lot of people are seated, some people are up and dancing, but um people were still listening and participating, um and just kind of, being open to the experience of like, like Brandino's definitely different than us, and we're
Right.
different than Pink Sky, and it's not like the through line might be just we all use effects pedals. That's the only it's the only like Brandino's the loop
Oops.
master, and we do our thing, and Pink Sky has a million different ways to like make their keyboards and synths sound cool with the electronic tracks and stuff. But yeah,
Wow.
overall it was like really fun, and great backdrop too, just having like you're facing the audience, but the city's kind of the backdrop, and then it's very cozy even though it's outdoors, and
Got the big screen.
yep, big screen.
So cool. I think that's could have one of been like the best thing GR has done right now. Is put one of those things out here outside.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think most people I talked to seem to like the fact that they could, you know, like make a full day out of like, oh, we're gonna go see a show at night, but we could also like go early in the day for lunch at one of the restaurants, and then see a movie. Like there are some people who kind of did, like almost like a like pre-quarantine bingo. They're just like checking off like, okay, I went and saw a movie, I went out to a restaurant, I went out and had some drinks, I went to a show.
All the best things.
Yeah.
The listening room is just as dope too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the trio, y'all trio's killing. Remember when we came in there that one day?
Oh yeah,
That
is
was
that the day with Ian and Nathan?
Ian and Madison.
Oh, okay, yep.
I think it was like a Thursday, maybe, or a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't remember what day it was. It was like too long ago for me to remember.
Yeah.
But I have shows coming up. I can't remember that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that residency, my last day there was this past Saturday. Grayson's
Really?
doing the 11th and 12th.
Who's doing it now?
Grayson's just doing the 11th and 12th, and then after that, they're switching back to. Well, I don't even know if they're switching out of the dining thing quite yet. Like I know they're focusing on the Thursday series. They have GR Lives again starting up. Blue Water Kings is doing showcases, I think, once or twice a month.
That's a better location. Driving all the way to Grand Haven.
Yeah. Yeah, it's way easier. And I haven't, like, they've talked a little bit about, like, in the fall is when a lot of the shows they had rescheduled, they're going to, pop up more. They're starting to announce more things you can buy tickets for. But yeah, I don't know if it'll go back to like the full 200 seats in the venue and maybe until the fall, but we'll see.
We're still not even in person church right now, in person worship at our church right now. So
yeah.
And until later on, which is fine with me because nothing feels the same. Still, nothing feels normal. I don't think we're ever gonna have a normal ever again.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where, like, as a musician, you're kind of used to like the ideal version in your head never happening. Right. So you just have like anything that happens is just kind of like, well, yeah, it's kind of par for the course. Yeah, our whole industry shut down. It seems like it would happen. Seems like that's the natural course of a nation that has continued to devalue the arts.
Yep.
Like I was talking with Brandon Copeland, and like WMCAT is like supplementing music programs that like went away from schools, and now instead of having like like even a weekly like band or orchestra like once or twice a week, or sometimes every school day, like people bake that into the calendar, but now it's like certain schools that just got rid of it, they have WMCAT do these like 2-week intensives, and I'm like, that's not a replacement for band. Like, oh, you get 2 weeks to like kind of know how to do Ableton, and then or like kind of make a beat, or learn certain things that you want to go out and apply, but you don't go to WMCAT. You're only going to this intensive during the school year, and then there's nothing at your school to help continue that education. It's just kind of like, well, eventually I might have a laptop, or I might have or a laptop like that's not a Chromebook, like something that could run a DAW and run plugins.
Oh man, that is insane. I'm so glad I got out of high school when I did. I'm glad I had the teachers I did too, Sawyers and Mr. Ross. So
yeah,
and they just retired too. So I'm just like, dang it, now I can't send my kids to them. So I had to find a new whole thing for them. So
yeah, well, and it's interesting too to see like the I think like how Rainbow Music is, they're calling it after 40 plus years, and like it's teachers retiring, or like even just not just teachers retiring, but like new teachers coming in.
Right.
It's like there's now this big shift in like a chunk of educators are all out of school systems, and now there's like they have to rebuild that kind of reputation with someone new or someone who might not be the best fit. Like they have to kind of shop around, or even like, you know, venues that they let everybody on their sound and entertainment teams go, and they're not like some people are getting hired back, some people are just leaving the industry, at least right now, to like, you know, get, I don't know, get paid and then come back in when they have some money. But it's, yeah, this whole shift is like, it's so much deeper culturally than like most people are going to understand over the next decade. Just the shifting of like certain people that were all like, you know, these educators that everyone knew for years, like, oh, those people are now out of those systems. So who's taking their place? How are things getting taught? How are things running? Are these people as passionate about competition? Maybe like, oh, this school that like got good by competing, this new guy doesn't like to compete. So now that program dips potentially, or the opposite happens where like, you know, a school that never competes, suddenly they're going to these competitions, and maybe that makes it better over 5 years. But right now it's butting heads. Like, I don't know. And then that, you know, that translates to like, oh, you know, 20 years down the road, all these kids who had their education changed or affected, now they, you know, that's stunting their artistic growth in some respect. So who are the musicians that are going to be gigging around the area? The next crop of young musicians. Yeah, it's like a lot happened in a year that we know a lot of it, but not all of it. And audiences will continue to just exist and be like, you know, not very privy to any of these things. And I think artists are being a little more transparent about the business, and just like, you know, even something as simple as like sharing a meme of like, hey, if you buy an album, that's $10. That's like this many thousands of streams. So just buy the album if you want to support. Like, it's cool that you stream our albums, but you could listen to one of my songs 2,000 times and it'll still be less than the value I'm charging for on iTunes. Like, yeah, it's just interesting that way. I think you're muted.
Oh, did you hear me? I was like, I lost all of my connection when when we were talking, and then so now I'm in the kitchen.
Oh, so
yeah, I was like, you froze, and then it cut off, and it was just like, you reached your time. I'm like, wait a minute. What are you talking about, Zoom? So now I'm in the kitchen.
okay.
So if it looks weird, I had to make a weird adjustment. But yeah.
Where did it end up like, did it freeze at a specific point? Because I can always like
right
edit past the freeze point.
yeah, it was like right where we're talking about going new teachers coming in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it froze all the way to there until he said I'm muted.
Yeah, it's the way this, you know, the way my setup is.
Yeah,
I kind of want to mount, like, I'm at being at Third Coast, like the
right.
tripod's on my desk. There's a wall behind me that I kind of want to mount a TV to, so I can like better see like what's happening. Because right now my laptop's over here.
Mm-hmm.
So when all that was happening, I like looked over and like, okay, he's moving, but I didn't know what happened.
No, you like completely froze. It turned off. Everything went away. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, basically I was saying, like, you know, like audiences, for better or for worse, you know, if you sum up everyone's emotion, I feel like the gist is like, wow, I didn't realize how much I miss live music. I'm going to go see live music. But then
Right.
there's no deeper discussion other than like, where's the show or like what's happening? Because like now, like talking about new teachers is like this past year, there's such a shift in like people who, you know, like with my friend, like how she was kind of forced to move
Right.
earlier, and like her plans to like move back to Michigan
Right.
were, much sooner. It's kind of like, oh, all these people who were in music education for years, some of them, they stepped down, some of them, you know moved, some of them, you know they're they're not teaching anymore for one reason or another.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, how does that affect the next 20 years of music, to have, programs supplementing their arts programs with like WIMCAT or like other organizations that focus on arts and technology. And then the people who are like good examples of educators in the area, the ones that could like teach people well, put together like a good sounding band from whatever kind of comes their way, do give kids the experiences of like working towards competitions or concerts, or having that discipline or marching band. It's like, all right, that affects all those people. And then when they come out of school, obviously not everyone who does band and orchestra in high school is going to be a full-time musician, but the people who want to pursue that, it's like, now there's a whole industry that's like shifted in some respects.
Yeah.
And the path to like the path to being, I guess, successful, whatever your definition of success is, like it's even broader, which can be a good thing, but it's also harder to like cover all those bases as an elementary school music teacher or something. Like you're gonna be focused on like, can I keep these kids, engaged with art? Like that's like the main goal with that. But then, years later, they're realizing like, oh, I should have, just played around more with social media, or like I should have figured out video editing, or I should have, done learned some of all these things along the way, little bits and pieces. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it'll be interesting to see like how certain things have changed on like the smaller localized levels. And then also with like, Live Nation probably buying up certain parts of the industry, and other investors like, the guy who owns Bonnaroo, I think, was trying to offer COVID relief money to venues, but in exchange for like, kind of a contractual like cut of profits in the future. So like he was kind of investing on the front end and then making money from these venues in the long run, which is one of those things too where he can just he could invest in different spots, see who's doing well, sell off his investments when he deems it good for him, and put it back into the venues that are working. So yeah, it's like weird pressures of like, oh, we're not just be held to the audiences. We have, certain investor types that aren't really, gonna be as understanding with even with how, the industry kind of tanked. But yeah, it's that weird feeling of like, it's fun to go back to shows and entertain audiences and do all this stuff, but there's so much like underneath
Right.
those moments that are gonna carry through the next few years. That
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a discussion to be had.
It's ooh-wee.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, all you can do, I guess, with GrooveGround and stuff is just like,
Right.
just keep adding those little
Oh yeah.
bricks.
Just put breaks and just keep progressing as we go. I know myself, other than GrooveGround, I've just been trying to book and keep steady during the week with booking shows like Civic. So, and other things like just rehearsals. I've been enjoying having my rehearsals like during the day, like at 3 o'clock.
Yep.
So I can have some shedding time or family time or just a gig in the afternoon on a Tuesday or Wednesday evening. So changing my way of how I used to do things with scheduling rehearsals at night is making it better for me. Trying out new things. You have to now that everything's switched.
Yep.
Life made things different now that I'm in control of scheduling my life better.
Yeah.
Way better life doing that. I'm doing better at that. And so yeah, man, it's been tough. And with the whole pandemic, I find it that I have nothing to do but is progress now.
Right.
Everything, life happened, and everything that happened with the pandemic was weird. So
Yeah.
so being more in charge of scheduling and making the rehearsals work and being consistent with GrooveGround and with myself as drummer D, not as as D Washington Music or Daviance, as people as wants to call me. Just trying to get better at that. I really am. So I don't know. What else we got in this panel?
Right. Well, and I'm sure too with like having the kid too, it's like another
Oh yeah.
like like you look at the kid and you're like, all right, whatever, hang up I had about trying a thing or anxiety about a thing or like, hesitancy in getting involved in a thing is like, I got to do it because this kid doesn't know how to do anything yet.
Yeah, you have to do it. So music has become a day job since the pandemic. And,
Yeah.
I've been trying to keep that before the pandemic, but it's hard. That's everyone's goal. Everyone's goal is to be a full-time musician. Now that I'm a dad, I have to be a full-time musician.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I enjoy working with Civic now and getting those skills because and BWKs on the weekend. That's very, very consistent.
Yep.
So yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Well, it's a good, well, and it's a good, reminder too of like I imagine having the kid and Zoe already being there too, but having the kid, newborn, like that, you start in your head, you're starting to go like, all right, who has invested time in me and what I want to do and what I need to focus on? How do I like just keep those people like keep working with those people, and then what things do I need to push to the side or say no to? I've been saying no a ton recently, like because so many things are popping up, and now it's like suddenly half a dozen singers need a pianist, and like all these bands want to it's like, hey, we're looking for a keyboard player. Like, hey, we're billing a show that you might not want to play on. And to have that kind of like to have over quarantine, like no was definitely honed like way more into my vocabulary. And now I don't feel like there's no like little bit of FOMO from like, that part of me that's part of my brain that's still like in undergrad music where I'm thinking like, if I say yes to this, that, something's going to happen. But now it's like, if I say no, like something's still going to happen that's just going to take the place of that no. It's not me denying an opportunity. It's just it's seeing, you know,
what's right for you.
Yeah, and like, you know,
Right.
seeing where and having so much time last year and realizing like, wow, like there are a lot of hours that I value having outside of certain, you know, expectations or forces, because I don't need to I don't need to get yelled at, you know, working at Amazon or something. I need to I just need to like
Clock in.
keep doing it.
Just keep going. Yeah. Yeah. No 9 to 5 for me. Yeah, I have a 9 to 5. I'm on one right now. This is work.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the they underestimate how much work goes into being a musician off stage. They just they think like, oh, your job is when you're gigging, and it's like, no, it's
no.
yeah, it's like it's the 4 hours I spent like cleaning my you know, piano, like that you aren't gonna see, so that when you do see me on stage, it's like that much better of an experience.
Right.
It's the, you know, all the emails I've sent that you'll never read. It's all the, you know, the schedules that keep getting shuffled around and things rescheduled and booked and. Hi there. So you're probably wondering why this clip is popping up. Basically, there was a point where Daviance was interrupted by someone at the door, so I just cut that part out so that you don't have to sit through any weird awkwardness. But we transitioned back into talking about the work that musicians do behind the scenes. So that's where it'll pick up right here.
But the things that you don't see, like me clicking tempos all day and getting lists in order for BWKs. Now also BWKs every Saturday, Asamo stuff, you know, GrooveGround stuff, you know, and Elijah stuff, you know.
Yep.
You know, all these other projects, you know, that people don't know. Like, okay, I'm trying to schedule this, be a dad, be an awesome boyfriend, and do other things, but it's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I still want to tour too, you know. Back when I was touring with Harper, I didn't have all these other things, you know. We didn't have pandemic either, so it was just easier to maneuver or get around and to just do what I do. But life has updated so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it reminded me too, like, like instead of, you know, I think back to 2019 or even early 2020 me, where I was like, you know, I was just like overworked.
Yeah.
Every week, and like especially 2020, I joked that like, oh, I must have had COVID because how was I getting sick so often? But there was just like I went on the road with Mark in December, and then I came home. I was sick until probably the week of Christmas, and then I was better up until like the first week I was in Ludington for the musical residency. And then I got well enough to go to NAMM, but then coming back from NAMM, I got sick and I didn't get better until after the Crooked Tree showcase. So that was like another 2 weeks of being sick. But that whole time, even though, you know, it was still a slower pace, like waiting for all the, you know, Dayquil and, you know, killers, like just it's like I just want to be able to sit upright and type on my computer.
Right.
Like I was still sending out emails and responding to things and trying to get things scheduled. And now it's like I want to use a chunk of this year, like sure, get back into the business mode in that sense, but also to take better care of myself so that when, you know, things open up even more next year and there's a better, you know, calendar of things to perform, I'm more equipped to like deal with it energy wise or like focus wise, instead of, you know, just like pushing myself into a point where I'm, half asleep all the time or something. Like just worn out and tired.
Yeah, worn out. Oh my goodness. And then we also have church too on Sundays. Man, I have to study that music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a whole, it's like a whole, like it's not just like it'd be one thing if you were like, oh, I'm just learning, one style or like one. It's like, nope, you're doing musicals, you're doing cover gigs, you're doing church, you're doing original music. Like there's no, like the people who say that they're like bored or like they don't, they have time or something and they're trying to be a gigging or like a full-time musician. Like I don't understand, like unless those people like already come from money and they're able to just like not keep a hectic schedule. Like most working musicians that I know and that I want to hire or like put in front of people to do things, they're multifaceted, they're always learning something. They're not just like I don't think I've seen anyone I know have to end up in like a Craigslist post like, I'm a bass player, I want to play in a band. It's like, no, I know 12 bass players.
Right.
Like it's just, yeah, it baffles me sometimes when people who say they want to be full-time artists don't acknowledge what that means and how that can look and like how it's never stagnant. Like I like some of those dudes pre-pandemic who had like 4 weekly gigs, and then when that all went away, it becomes very clear of like, oh, I was kind of just sitting comfortably in this routine and wasn't like learning anything new or like trying anything else new or preparing, some other project or thing. And yeah, it's
right.
like you just got to keep working and trying things.
Yeah, you gotta try newer things, new things, get around things that you never experienced as well, which also creates work, trying to do the same thing, and I was speaking of genres of music. So like I play a lot of funk.
Yeah.
So a lot of funk. I'm also trying to get in other things like bluegrass, maybe my skills want me to take me and use my hot rods for a couple of gigs during the week, but I haven't got many of those calls. It's just a little too funky. I need you to lay off a bit.
Yeah, we don't need the groove. We just need this train beat.
Yeah. You don't need the groove. I remember telling Joe Hediger on the BWK, I say, whenever you want to put some funk on that Shine On, give me a call. If anybody knows Shine On, they can look it up. And Joe Hediger.
Yeah. Well, and I see, I don't know. I've seen more people like if they did try a bunch of new stuff last year, like it's only helping, even if they're not, like, oh, like I tried streaming, even if it's, you're not a stream master, like you're still figuring out the equipment and the medium and that presentation. But I've also seen good examples of people who were just like radio silent, and they were, like the go rounds, they like rarely address the public. It seems like they're just like, they're all doing their own projects and their own things. And, Graham's family has that farm and it's like they they can take a step back because they know,
right.
They know that there's still work happening behind the scenes, even if like, a fan isn't, able to get an update from them weekly. And those fans will still, be there. They just, yeah, it's like you want to you want to stay up to date and current and content, but some of the people who didn't do any of that, they had, good explanations and they did good work offline. It's like there's still work happening, even if you don't. Yeah, like we were just saying, there's work happening whether you see it on stage or not.
Whether you're not. Yeah. Man, I was talking to someone about getting like newsletter emails for GrooveGround. I was like, what? You want me to do that? I was like, can I just send like text? But no. All right. But
well, and I've seen some people use like Community, or I forget what the name of the app is, but it's like a text service that you get like some numbers assigned to your profile, and then people can send you messages, I guess, but it's really just, it's another marketing thing. You can just send out like a text blast, and in addition to an email blast and social notifications, like that's I think it's so funny. Like we have so many ways of like presenting things to some people, and like everyone's got their own preference of like, oh, I like Instagram because it's like, it's easy to scroll through. Oh, I like TikTok because it's this new platform. Oh, I like Facebook because I'm used to it from 10 years ago. Or I like email because that's, I can read more and there's links to click, and it's one big update instead of like having to log in every day and look for something. And we're expected to like just hit all these like metrics to have somebody, like it's like someone needs to see something 7 times before they make some sort of commitment either way.
Oh yeah.
So it's the constant like, hey, come to the show. Hey, there's a show that's coming up. Hey, here's the details about that show. Hey, there's tickets to the show if you want to. Here's the bands.
Last chance to get the tickets. The show's today.
Yeah, show's today. Show's in 2 hours.
Yeah. Whoo. Go all day about this.
Yeah, definitely. This was great. This is fun. Chatting about our lives being so different because of the pandemic. and especially for you, like having a kid and really just like having to, I see the work you put in from the side, like me just watching on socials and hearing, stuff like today. So I know you're putting in the work.
I'm trying. If nothing's coming out, it's because it's being written and being developed. It's coming out. It's got to give me some time. I have Adrian Wright. I'm going to put some bars on Loving Me.
Oh, nice.
So, man, I tell you, that's coming out really dope. It really is. So, not because it's mine, but because everyone that's on the project made it really fat and thick. That's the way I liked it. Man, that's gonna be sweet. I gotta let you hear the demo.
Yeah,
I'll definitely. See me rough. But
yeah, where can people find you on all the socials?
All the socials, right? I know I was gonna change it to Daviance Washington, but I don't think a lot of people like that. I gave you so much crap. So yeah, you can just find me on social media. Facebook is D Washington Music. Instagram is D Washington Music. Twitter is Drums by D. That's it. You can find me there, and then you can just find all those links, the link trees for everything you want to find, like music inside the link trees. There's no music out right now under my name, but if you do want to hear some things, you can go to my link tree because I have all the other bands I play with inside my link tree.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those are the spots. Yeah, working on a band camp so I can get that Friday money.
Yeah. That extra Friday pub.
That extra Friday pub.
Yeah, any extra like, we get all the money? All right, everything's $100 now.
Prices go up on Fridays.
Yeah.
10% drop.
Right. Yeah, it's Bandcamp Friday, just that one day a month where get the support. Cool.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you for having me on here. Hopefully, we'll link up soon.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll link up. Just being in close proximity.
Yeah. How it happens.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, enjoy. I don't know, your weekend and yeah, with the family or gigs or whatnot. And yeah, I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah. You guys gonna have a Rick Berry tonight, so you gotta kill it. Try to go live for me. I try to get Madison to go live, but live or it's on the floor. One of the
Yeah. I'll try and have. If he doesn't go live, I'll try and go live for, some chunk of it or even all of it. Maybe just have it go live.
I appreciate you. I really do.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate all the work you're doing too.
Take care. Zoe just got home, so it's that time.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
See you later, Doc.
See ya.